Boundless Immigration News, Weekend Review, February 25th, 2022. Ukrainian Americans rally against Russian invasion. Ukrainians living in the United States had their worst fears realized Thursday as news broke that Russia had invaded Ukraine. They had been living on edge for weeks, worried for the safety of friends and family back home, as the threat of war loomed large. Ukrainian Americans joined protests in cities across the country to rally for stricter sanctions against Russia and military support for Ukraine. Outside the White House, Ukrainian Americans were seen carrying signs and the Ukrainian flag while chanting "Stand with Ukraine." Ukrainian refugees arrive in Europe. U.S. should prepare as well. Within hours of Russia's Wednesday invasion of Ukraine, hundreds of Ukrainian refugees began arriving in neighboring countries in Central Europe. By Friday, the United Nations was estimating 100,000 Ukrainians had already been displaced. U.S. government officials estimate that between 1 and 5 million people could flee to Ukraine, many traveling to Poland. With some variation, major periods of upheaval and conflict in Ukraine have historically led to increased migration into the United States. If history is any guide, the conflict now engulfing Ukraine will likely trigger a substantial movement of people to the United States as well. With tens of thousands already on the move, refugee resettlement leaders in the U.S. are warning that the current attack could lead to a mass exodus from Ukraine and are calling on Biden to prepare to welcome people fleeing for their lives. Supreme Court to review Remain in Mexico asylum policy. The Supreme Court last week agreed to decide whether the Biden administration can terminate the controversial Trump-era Remain in Mexico policy after the Fifth Circuit rejected the government's attempt to end the border asylum policy. The Biden administration has tried to end the policy repeatedly, but the states of Texas and Missouri sued, and a federal judge ruled last fall that the program must be reinstated. In a widely criticized opinion, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals rejected the government's second termination memo. The Supreme Court fast-tracked the case, agreeing to hear it during the second week of April. A decision is expected before the court's summer recess. Visa Bulletin and Backlog updates from DOS and NVC. The U.S. Department of State released the Visa Bulletin for March 2022. In summary, the only country which saw changes was Mexico, with decreases in wait time for some family-based categories. Meanwhile, the National Visa Center also released their monthly report on the current immigrant visa backlog. Overall, there was no significant movement. At this rate, it could take 55 months to get back to pre-COVID processing levels for green cards. USCIS denying over 1/4 of L-1B petitions. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS, continues to deny significant number of L-1B petitions. The L-1B visa, which allows companies to transfer foreign workers to their U.S.-based offices, has seen a 28.2% denial rate over the last 7 years. Those are this week's top immigration news headlines. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Boundless for the latest in immigration news. Thanks for watching.